It's an awesome opportunity and privilege to be up here. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Lord, because only He could know that I would be standing in front of all of you today. As I wouldn't have been doing this probably years ago. I didn't like talking in front of people, but He's made an extrovert out of me, I guess. And today I have the privilege of showing you guys puzzling relationships, which is, I think, one of the most dynamic demonstrations that we actually do in the classroom. I love showing STDs, but this is something that a lot of kids actually remember. That's funny. Okay, so now I absolutely love teaching kids about relationships, because this is something that most kids will remark about. They'll always say, I didn't like the gross pictures, but the relationships part, this really has changed my life. Or I have talked to my girlfriend or boyfriend after this, and we have established some things. We've talked about boundaries. We've talked about expectations. And some of them have actually gotten out of relationships that downright were on the road to destruction. And so I'm going to show you guys this, if you can hit that PowerPoint for me. And you actually have the handout in your program. If you're not there, it says Puzzling Relationships. And I'm going to do this very quickly because obviously I only have probably about 4 minutes now. I'm just going to give you guys a skeleton. This usually does take at least 25 minutes to go through this. But in this relationship that you guys can see here, there's two different hearts that you guys see. They're not really broken hearts. They're actually pieces of a relationship. You have commitment, and then you have affection. Okay, and then in your next relationship, if you can flip that for me, you have commitment and you have affection. But in the one that's down here at the bottom, as you can see, there are equal amounts of affection and equal amounts of commitment. And that is actually what you want in a relationship, because both of those people in that relationship are givers. They're both givers. They're both supportive of each other. They're willing to sacrifice. They, are willing to let a person go if that's what's required. Okay, the next relationship where you can see it's out of balance, you have a small amount of commitment and then you have a huge amount of affection. This is not what you want. So in that relationship, you're going to have a giver and you're going to have a taker in that relationship. Now, takers can be either males or females. A lot of times when we're teaching this, the kids will automatically think about males being takers. So they're very surprised when you say girls can be takers as well. Okay, but they can. And takers generally are very deceptive, charming, manipulative people. Okay, so they kind of fly under your radar. So you do have to be very cautious in relationships with people that want to move very, very fast. Okay, I usually use the analogy of a car. When you drive 20 miles an hour down the street, you can see a whole lot of stuff. But when you're going 65 or 70 on the highway, you miss a whole lot of stuff. Okay, and that is why takers want to move very, very fast, because if they can move fast in a relationship, that means you're going to miss the red flags. Okay, a taker also is synonymous with someone who's abusive. Okay, they're usually very controlling people. Okay, kind of keep that in mind as we're talking about this. There are 5 things in particular that takers take from givers in relationships. Okay, the number one thing that they might take would be sex. Okay, takers say things like, if you love me, you'll let me. Okay, or you have to prove that you love me by having sex with me. Takers always want proof that you love them or that you're affectionate towards them. So don't let people manipulate you. The second thing that takers can take from givers is money. These are people that usually never have money of their own for some reason. Now, in the beginning of the relationship with the taker, they might have a lot of money. It might seem like it. They're going to try to win your affection, those kinds of things. But generally, as the relationship moves on, they never have any money. You find that you're always giving out. You're always giving out, and this person's always taking. I kind of think about it like a leech, okay? So you don't want that to happen. A third thing a taker takes from givers is time. And this is really important, especially when it comes to teens, because teen dating violence is on the rise. And a lot of times this is exactly where it starts. It's never, ever healthy to spend 24/7 with one person, even if you like them a whole lot. You always want to keep your support system, because when you don't, then you become isolated. And that a lot of times is where the abuse can come in, okay? The fourth thing takers take are gifts and stuff. Gifts and stuff. They're always going to want you to get them something. Okay, so I usually give the rule of thumb, it's never ever healthy for you guys to accept expensive gifts, because they're usually always strings attached. They're just unspoken. The last thing takers are going to want to do, they're going to want you to sacrifice some things. There are 5 things in particular that takers want you to sacrifice. Friends is one thing. They definitely don't want you around your friends. Usually your close friends can tell a taker a mile away, and they're going to try to persuade you to get out of that relationship. A second thing is family. Okay, very important that you don't allow takers to take you away from your family. Keep that support system, because once you don't have that relationship anymore, if you break up, you might feel like you don't have anyone to go to, and that's going to lead you to go back to the taker in the relationship. It's going to make you very vulnerable. A third thing, and we can kind of lump these next two together, goals and education. A lot of times takers do not want you to be more successful than they are, because again, it becomes that dependence. They want you dependent on them. So they will try to stop you from achieving your goals and getting a further education, especially if it's higher than what they have. Lastly, they're going to want you to sacrifice what you value and believe in. If your value is that you don't have sex until you're married, a taker is not going to like that. They might even start talking about you and say, not have sex? Everybody has sex. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Okay, that's the sound of a taker. Okay, now again, with this demonstration here, a lot of times I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many umpteen amounts of kids I've had come up to me afterwards and say, this is the kind of relationship that I was just in, or this is something that I'm going to have to deal with in my current relationship and try to get out of it, or they ask me how to get out. So we want to continue to bring this information to these young people, because it definitely is changing and saving their lives. Thank you.